Significant severe weather has pushed through the South and moved through Mississippi, Louisiana last night. We had quite a few tornado emergencies last night. I'm sure they'll be talked about for quite a long time. Storms are currently moving through south central Georgia, parts of north central Georgia, up into northern Georgia as well. We'll continue to push to the south and east into Florida today. And we had heavy rain also as part of this. And it wasn't just a severe weather event, up to 6 inches of rain in Alabama and Mississippi this morning. Thankfully, this will push out of the area today and we'll get to clean up from whatever mess was left behind. So, in today's forecast, we're going to talk about potential for severe weather today into Florida and southern Georgia, as well as the future severe threat, which is probably going to not be nearly as substantial as it has been, and the future pattern, which points to a heat wave out west here. So stick around for that, and let's get started. So to start with, let's look at the current hazards, right? We got this warm side of our system here, where we have ongoing severe weather and heavy rainfall, continuing tornado watch into parts of Alabama, a small portion maybe in Mississippi here, and into parts of the Panhandle of Florida, into southwestern Georgia as these storms move to the south and east today. We also have a red flag warning here along the northern Florida coastline here, eastern coastline. We also have freeze warnings and frost advisories. Excuse me. Out west here, we had snow last night, and the day before it was heavy snow in some areas here. And I get it. Some people didn't get anything. Sorry, but the liquid equivalent out here was incredibly high, and we had roughly 50,000 people without power out here as a result of the leaves being on the trees out here. I had some pictures that my oldest daughter took. It was incredible the amount of weight that was on the trees here. Really put a kibosh on the morning commute. If anybody was trying to go to work, if you had to get up, you didn't have power, then how are you going to take a shower and all that? So I think the roads are relatively clear-ish, especially in the Denver area. So very interesting event, although not unheard of out here. The amount of snow and the liquid equivalent was pretty incredible. You don't usually see that out here. Some places in the mountains got up to 2 feet, I think. So I'll have to maybe put together a segment for the accumulations out here. When I have time to do that, we can talk about that sometime as well. Up in the Michigan and Wisconsin, we have some frost advisories, freeze warnings. The UP doesn't look like they have any freeze or frost advisories, just probably because not quite cold enough up here. But flood warnings. We also had some flood warnings. I forgot to mention flood watch down here in Georgia still, which will expire, I think, in a few hours as these storms move out. And let's see, out west, not much else to talk about, at least right now. Yesterday down in Texas, we had uh, I think a heat advisory or a heat-related advisory with heat indexes approaching like 115 out here. Crazy stuff. Maybe some high wind advisories, fire weather watches up here, lake wind advisory in the higher terrain, and up into northeast Montana today. So diving right in, this is the current excessive rainfall outlook. This graphic is for day one, which is valid to about 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. Eastern, so a few more hours. We had 6+ inches of rain in certain areas here, so this verified pretty well here. Some bullseyes here towards Columbus and back towards parts of Mississippi. So you see that moderate risk, slight risk here going all the way up to North Carolina, down to Louisiana here. So moving into the rest of today, marginal risk of excessive rainfall on the southern edge of this, generally from the New Orleans to central Georgia down to southern Georgia here, parts of the Florida Panhandle, Alabama as well. And then the threat moves further to the south and east, south and west into tomorrow, with the boundaries setting up here. Heavy rainfall potential along the Gulf Coast. Slight risk of excessive rainfall already from Louisiana back towards Texas, Mississippi, parts of Alabama. A larger marginal risk from southern Texas to central Texas up to central Louisiana, parts of Mississippi, and parts of Alabama as well. along the Gulf Coast here. So get ready for some soaking rains here along the coastline. So pretty interesting stuff, although very impactful. As we get into Saturday, it looks like, because today's Thursday, the other day, yeah, today, this is Saturday. We get into Saturday, we have the excessive rainfall outlook moving back into Alabama, Mississippi, and Atlanta with a marginal risk here. All right, and so that'll be great for the rainfall here, especially in the Atlanta area with the drought we're in. So I think this will benefit everybody here. Maybe Alabama, maybe Mississippi doesn't need any more right now, given how much they had. But definitely starting to make a dent in the drought, at least in the short term. We'll see if that continues. And we get into Sunday. There's nothing on the map here for excessive rainfall. So for the rest of today, this is a severe weather outlook. You see, we still have that marginal risk of severe weather, stretching generally from Macon, Georgia, back towards Gulfport, Mississippi, up to South Carolina, parts of North Carolina, Fayetteville, Blythewood, up towards New Bern, marginal risk down to parts of Florida here, Jacksonville. And then we have this slight risk. This is upgraded since the last advisory. Slight risk of severe weather here in the Tallahassee area, Pensacola, Florida, mostly in the Panhandle, and parts of southern Georgia today. Tornado risk is centered back here towards Pensacola, Dothan, Alabama, Tallahassee, just to the north of the Panama City, with a marginal risk of tornadoes outside of that. And again, what does that mean? The tornado risk here. See if I can bring up my pen, but it's not working. Anyway, you have your 5% risk tornadoes here, 2% in the green area here. So the potential intensity, max intensity, is less than EF2 because there's no hatching here. So we'll keep that in mind today as we make our way to work. And this threat is likely to be maximized this morning due to the low-level jet weakening with time, which decreases the low-level shear. So any tornadoes, which is unusual, will form probably this morning sometime. So hopefully that won't happen, but that's the risk for that. The wind risk encompasses this whole area here. So what does this mean? You have a marginal risk, 5% of 50-knot winds, which is about 60 miles per hour, within 25 miles of a given location. And down here in the slight risk, same thing, but 15% risk, right? So 60 mile per hour winds, all right? So one last thing with the hail. No hail risk with the exception of back here, interestingly enough, into Texas, Brownsville, Eagle Pass, San Antonio, Corpus Christi. They could have some storms form here, some marginally large hail. Let's go back to the wind risks. I might want to make sure that didn't cover that area. So maybe if I have some late day storms form out here, elevated convection. Let's bring up the radar. There's nothing going on right now, but you see this storm down here forming over the higher terrain. Might make its way into southern Texas this morning. We'll have to see what happens with that. But kind of a neat little feature on radar to look at. Take out the radar. Let's see if we can see it from here. Who knows if it'll make it. It looks like it's going to be headed into southern Texas not too long from now. So let's see if there's any warnings with this. There's no warnings with it, but it looks like it could be a big hailer out here. So we'll keep that in mind today for Texas as well. Just be aware of your surroundings out here today. So into tomorrow, we now have a marginal risk here. This is for your outlook for tomorrow. Like I said, marginal risk is severe weather, which is mostly driven by wind and hail here from Lawton, Oklahoma towards Jefferson City, Missouri, eastward towards Arkansas here, and back towards parts of Kansas, Independence. Okay, so wide view here shows a larger chance of general thunderstorms tomorrow. And the wind risk here. We have the wind potential in that same area, maybe 60 mile per hour winds possible, and gusts that with storms that do form here due to steep lapse rates and the moisture return over the boundary will be limited. There's a boundary that's setting up down here. The moisture return will be limited, so mostly elevated convection here. Hail encompasses the same area. 1 inch hail is possible in this area here tomorrow. Right, so we go to, let's see, Saturday. Today's Thursday, right? My days are getting mixed up here. We have a marginal risk of severe weather from Oklahoma City towards Dodge City, Kansas here. A pretty small area here, right? But um, mostly driven this time of year, at least with this kind of setup, not a huge amount of moisture return. So you have a wind and hail risk. Well, you don't have that right now. But the storm, because this is day 3. So what the Storm Prediction talked about, Storm Prediction Center, I'm getting ahead of myself, talked about the potential for severe hail and gusty winds here, but not expecting a tornado risk right now. Uh, what's going to end up happening, we'll talk about next with the long range forecast for severe weather here and the mid and upper level flow pattern, and it'll support much warmer temperatures out here to the west and cooler and less active conditions, at least as far as severe weather on the eastern seaboard, but maybe the continuation of rainfall somewhere along the Gulf Coast here. So as far as severe weather and the mid-level flow pattern, this is overlaid on one map here. This is the experimental monitoring tool, the GEFS ensemble, right? And you have the severe weather probabilities down here in the different values show the probability of severe weather. And you see this is an anomaly as far as 500 millibars. You see the dark blue up here below average heights up here to the north, which indicates lower pressure at the mid-levels. Down here in the south, you have a closed low. Not quite closed off just yet, but in the high pressure here off the west coast of the U.S. High pressure to the south here. So I had to bring my pen up. Sorry about that. There's severe probabilities down here, the mid-level heights, anomalies. So you see where the positive numbers are here in the red. The darker blue indicates lower heights than normal, -6, -3 here. So starting off with this, see this trough swings to the east here, and the potential for the marginally severe weather down here in Texas as this trough swings out to the northeast here. And then you have this increased probabilities down here in Texas, as well as on the northerly, where this portion goes like this, right? So you have some increased, I don't know, flow here and shear as the winds go like this. Although the moisture return may not be that great here, so that's likely why we got a marginal hail and wind threat tomorrow in this area. Okay, you see out west here we got this trough building, which is going to bring very hot temperatures out here out west, and we'll try to talk about that as well as part of this package here, my forecast. That ridge is spiking out here out west. The ridge shifts to the south and east here. This trough digs in here, some flow, return flow off the Gulf, maybe some rainfall and severe weather along the Gulf Coast. All the probabilities aren't that high for the Storm Prediction Center to really outline that area right now, and maybe some enhancement on the backside of this. With this ridge about here, there's not much going on because the low, it's just got this flow here coming this way, another trough here swinging through. So let's see what happens with this trough. See how it merges with these the bigger storm here, right? I guess you would say one to the north. Trough axis things swings through. Maybe have some severe weather potential on the backside here, Central Texas on Sunday, and we may have this briefly return to some wetter conditions here along the Gulf Coast and southeast as this trough pivots out, right? And we get more northwest flow regime here. Once we get on the backside of this trough in the southeast, we're going to be the northwest flow, and that could promote MCS, mesoscale convective systems moving through the flow here. If we get some disturbances moving down this way, you see maybe a little dip swinging through here as well. So maybe some enhancement into Florida, but for severe weather-wise, that's showing the potential for severe weather on the front, just to the east of the Rockies here. So This kind of flow around May and June is not necessarily unusual. We start to see more of these type events as we get towards June rather than the trough sticking this way. Although with El Nino likely to become El Nino, I guess you would say, in the coming months, a lot more disturbances, I think, coming through this way. Not necessarily severe weather, but that's my thoughts about that. This mid-level high is really strung out here at this point. This is Wednesday of next week. Northwest flow, not favorable for like flooding events necessarily, but MCSs, like I said. And we'll try to go over that if I have time today. Still northwest flow with high pressure out west, right? Very dry. It'll be very dry out here. Maybe some elevated thunderstorms, but I'm not expecting much of a tornado threat out here given the flow regime. Okay. High pressure stays out west into Saturday. Maybe it's just to the east here, but man, it's going to be dry. It's going to be totally different than what it's been the past couple of days out here in Colorado and the central U.S. Going to be brutally hot, especially on the backside of this high pressure. Northwest flow will keep things relatively mild here in the east, right? And if we extend this out, high pressure is forecast to build here. You see 4.0 above normal here at the trough out west and maybe a trough to the east of it. I'm telling you, storms could be firing anywhere along the periphery of this ridge, right? And it wants to like stick around here. Crazy stuff. So next, let's review the temperatures outlook for the continental U.S. and maybe talk about the future radar and those potential MCS type features moving through the flow in the coming days. So for today, we got highs generally in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. In the most of the eastern U.S., maybe some 40s up here in the Northeast, with the hottest temperatures. Dang it, Florida 95 degrees. My goodness. Parent temperature, well, that's max temperature. So sorry guys. So the parent temperature will probably be a lot higher than this. So that's going to be pretty brutal here in Florida today. So be mindful of that as you go out, especially if you're going to the parks today. You're doing some kind of sightseeing. It's going to be pretty hot, right? So be aware of that. As far as the night goes, up to the north here, but almost near freezing, which is pretty nice, I guess. I don't know what the normal temp is up here, but that seems about right. Okay, but we have those freeze and frost advisories up here today. Northeast, generally in the 30s and 40s, 60s right along the Gulf Coast, so not overly warm either, although that's pretty normal along the Gulf Coast here to be pretty warm this time of year with the Gulf warming up and the moisture onshore here just too close to the shoreline. As far as highs out west today, look at this. Colorado, 60s and 70s. Yesterday it was snowing. So whatever snow, even in the hard terrain, maybe the highest peaks will not get above freezing, but in Colorado, it's gonna melt pretty quickly here. So I'd be a little bit concerned about the runoff and the potential for flooding here because it's pretty much frozen overnight tonight, right? As you look at the apparent temperature, 20 degrees here. If we zoom in a little bit further, let's go into the Rockies here. 18, 20 degrees this morning, 8 degrees on the Front Range. Crazy stuff, right? And that's unreal, the temperature change. So we go back out. Highs today, 60s, 70s, getting up to 90 down here. Arizona, parts of California, right along the coast, even Los Angeles, maybe getting 70, 80 degrees. Very hot here. So let's zoom back out to the western view here. All right. Now, let's go real quickly look at the temperatures overnight tonight. Getting near freezing again in Colorado, New Mexico, parts of Arizona. Just above freezing for the most part, though. Down into the desert, of course, in the 60s, which isn't particularly hot overnight. Sometimes they get in the hundreds, like 90 at night, and that's pretty brutal here. And since we're going to be talking about the potential heat in the coming days, I'm going to review out west here, especially to start with. I'm going to review the future temperatures here next. So to start off with, we're out west again with the European ensemble temperature anomalies. You see here in Colorado, 20, 30 degrees above normal this morning. Wow. Okay. Today, to start with, up to 20 degrees above normal up in Canada, which seems weird, right? So we move through time of this today. Maybe getting close to normal for highs, right? Okay. So through the end of today, see the anomalies out here building even warmer here, 10, 20 degrees above normal through Saturday, Sunday. You see how it's getting even hotter here with temperature anomalies below normal in the central U.S. and the northern U.S. with that mid-level flow from the northwest, right? And we have these anomalies out here, like I said, 10 and 20 degrees above normal. So we talk about apparent temperatures here, 90, 80, right? Go back to anomalies. This is Sunday, Monday, even hotter here. You see the extremes even in the higher terrain and out west, 15, 20 degrees above normal. Just brutal, brutally hot. Go back to apparent temperatures. Let's see, anomaly, that's 7-day. And the temperature here, 90, 100 degrees somewhere in some parts of this. Even to Texas, 80, 90 degrees here. Incredible stuff here. Go back to the anomalies one more time. That heat looks to calm down a little bit, if you will, and move to the east. Potential for cooling off as you get towards about 10 days out. Warmer temps moving further to the east here. All right. So let's move to the east and look at the temperature anomalies also. To start off with, you can see where the cooler temperatures are in the blues, purples and stuff here. So stuff. I don't know why I said that, but and down the south and the east where you have the warmer than normal temps here. Cooler air eventually pushes to the south. So not particularly below normal temps here, 3, 4, but up to the north here, 10, 15 degrees below normal, closer to that trough, right? And it remains that way. Maybe cooler than normal here into Saturday, likely due to cloud cover and rainfall here. So not a lot of sunshine. And those anomalies remain. And maybe warming up a little bit, but you see this cold air push maybe again here in the east, right? East of the Rockies, still trending below normal with a northwest flow, and really poised for even a bigger cool down as we get towards 5 days out. And look at the actual temperatures here. This is 9Z, 12Z on the 12th, 60, 70 degrees. That's pleasant, right, for down here. The central U.S. looking to warm up. This time of year in May, it's not going to be like freezing here, even with the coldest air for the most part. So we go to anomalies again, trending below normal almost through the middle of May here, and bam. Maybe warming up slightly here in the east, but overall expected to stay either near normal or slightly above normal temperatures here. So and below normal really for the most part, trending that way. So this is through the 22nd. So this is 15 days, which is a long way, but this is just an ensemble, European ensemble. It's not the Bible, but that's the trend right now. As far as the future radar, we're starting off with today. Well, this is 11 p.m., 3 p.m., 8 a.m. on Friday. So, we're going to start moving through the southeast as we go through today. Maybe some storms on the backside of this. You see another boundary pushing to the east here. And we get some rainfall again here in the southeast. Maybe some rain in the northeast, some snow in the near the UP in Michigan. Maybe some rainfall on the backside. Deep low pressure off the Aleutian. There's Aleutian low here with high pressure building out west. You see the high pressure here? Generally this way. We talked about the flow here, right? This is on a Saturday. Looks like a rainy day over the weekend here, which is nice, okay? We really need it. So maybe some storms moving through in the central U.S. here, the northwest flow. Maybe a system again developing right along the coast here. Maybe low pressure just offshore. That boundary swings through. You see the dip in the jet stream here, or you know what I mean, the height falls, right? And so you have this northwesterly flow. See the low way up here, surface low. We get into Monday. See how that moisture pushes down into the northeast. This is more of the northwest flow, right? So low pressure develops here, okay, on the Great Lakes. Maybe some snow on the backside of it. We'll have to see with that. But interesting features. It moves to the south and east, pushes a cold front through, likely, and then we get more uncertain with the extended pattern. But potentially northwest flow will bring more systems down to the south and east that may not be resolved by this coarser model of the GFS. So high pressure firmly in place in the all the way up here. You see this low is way up here, right? Heights. Oops, didn't mean to put that up there. Getting ahead of myself here. See the high pressure expansive up here with a lower pressure this way, right? So northwest flow this way. All right, so quite an expansive area here of high pressure building in the central U.S. So as long as this remains in place and we have this northwest flow going this way here, we'll have more trouble getting rainfall down here. Okay, so we'll see how that plays out in the coming days, whether that evolves that way. If we go a bit further out, this is way out in the extended, really uncertain at this point. So, well, this is a real long video today. I really talked about a lot of things. Hope you all get something out of it. Appreciate you all watching. Have a good day and God bless you all.